Let us start. Let us start. In the last class, we have gone through the various psychometric processes which involve in air conditioner to verify the involved in the air conditioning, like sensible heating, sensible cooling, humidification and dehumidification, cooling and adiabatic humidification, cooling and humidification by water injection, heating and humidification, and humidification by steam injection, adiabatic chemical humidification, adiabatic mixing of airstream. So what is steam? So there are so many psychometric processes involved in this air conditioning to verify vary the psychromatic properties of air. Means the amount of the moisture present in the air you are supposed to control. Now you have to live it in the atmosphere. So you have to do a control in various ways to improve or reduces the moisture content of the air as per your requirement. First of all, we have gone through the sensible heating. Sensible heating means the heating of air without any change in the specific humidity, means the amount of moisture present in the in a known weight or volume of air, say 1 kg, so that which is defined as sensible heating. Means we are not adding any moisture, any vapor, or we are not drying the air by removing the moisture content. We are just only heating it. That is defined as sensible heating. So how will you do it? The temperature, let the air at temperature TD1, so dry bulb temperature at the entrance of the air is equal to TD1, and this air is passing over a heating coil of which is carrying a temperature of TD3, and temperature at the moment of heating, leaving the heating coil will be supposed to be TD2, which is not equal to TD3, and which is supposed to be less than TD3. This process of sensible heating is given. It can be shown on the psychometric chart like this. It is here we have to plot the inlet incoming temperature TD1 and outgoing temperature TD2, and the dry bulb temperature and this heating coil temperature TD3 on the dry bulb temperature chart, and draw a vertical from all these 3 points, and which is cutting the relative humidity line phi1 at the point 1 and phi2 at the point 2, which is the relative humidity of the air at the time of entering, and phi2 is the relative humidity of the air at the time of leaving the air. And there is no such relative humidity we have consumed at the point 3. Now, if we got a vertical line from 1 to the enthalpy line, we'll get H1, H2, and H3. How will you know the H3? And when we draw a vertical from TD3, which is the the temperature of the heating coil, it will intersect in some of the relative heating lines, say, which is phi3, or which is more than phi1 and phi2. And from this point of intersection, we can draw a vertical over the enthalpy line, which will give you the enthalpy of the heating coil, which is equal to H3. So H1 is the enthalpy at the incoming air, and H2 enthalpy of the outgoing air, and H3 the enthalpy of heat content of the heating coil. So we are interested to know how much heat is being added here at this time of sensible heating. So it will be equal to H2 minus H1. H2 is the enthalpy at the outlet of the outlet, and H1 is the enthalpy at the inlet of the incoming air. So H2 will be equal to CP2, CPD, CP the coefficient of heat at air, and in the specific heat of air multiplied by TD2, the temperature of the dry bulb temperature of the heating coil, minus temperature. Just 1 second. Temperature at the outlet of the heating coil minus temperature at the inlet of the heating coil, plus the specific humidity means amount of moisture present in the air multiplied by the specific heat of the moisture and multiplied by TD2, the temperature at the outgoing enthalpy minus temperature at the incoming air. So if we make simplify, then CPA plus WCPS is equal to TD2 minus TD1 is equal to CPN the TD2 minus TD1, where the term CPA plus WCPA is defined as humid specific heat, CPM. It is the humid specific heat. It is the value is taken as 1.002. Means humid specific heat is equal to the specific heat of dry air and moisture present in the air. Moisture mixture present in air. It is the specific heat of the mixture of dry air and moisture, and its value is taken as 1.022. So the heat is being added. It is that temperature at the outlet of the heating coil minus temperature at the inlet heating coil of and TD2 1.022 into T3. So what is shown here? This air is coming in TD1 and air is coming out TD2. Air at the inlet of the heating coil is TD1 and air at the outlet of the heating coil is TD2. Temperature of the heating coil is TD3. And this is that TD3 is must obviously higher than TD2. Next comes sensible cooling. In the sensible cooling without any change in specific humidity, again known as sensible cooling. If we cool the air, if we remove the heat from the air, then it will be cooled and it will be sensible cooled without any change in the specific humidity. Now, here is the same position is same temperature at the TD1 passing over a coil of temperature TD3. So, and temperature at the outlet of the coil will become leaving the cooling coil will be TD3, which is more than TD2, TD2, which is more than TD3. So TD1 incoming air temperature of the drive out temperature of the incoming air, TD2 temperature drive out temperature of the outgoing air leaving the cooling coil, and TD3 is the temperature of the cooling coil. In the similar fashion, if we plot it in the psychrometric chart, three drive out temperatures, temperature at the cooling coil, which is the least, temperature at the incoming air, drive out temperature in the incoming air, that is the maximum, and TD2, the temperature of the outgoing air, that is the minimum itself. It is the outgoing air from the leaving the cooling coil. Just a second. Now, in the similar sensible cooling, the heat rejected in the psychrometric chart from the difference in the enthalpy from H1 and difference in enthalpy at H2. And the specific humidity during the insensible cooling also remains constant, means the amount of vapor remains same as before and after the cooling, like the sensible heating, the amount of vapor remains same before and after the heating. The drive out temperature reduces from, and relative humidity reduces from phi1 to relative humidity increases from phi1 to phi2 as shown in the figure. Just 1 second to show you the difference between relative and specific humidity. Actually, the relative humidity is the ratio of actual mass of air in a given volume of moisture to the mass of water vapor in the same volume air saturated at the same temperature. The actual mass of the water vapor divided by the mass of the water vapor, which is supposed to be present if it is fully saturated. And specific humidity is the amount of moisture present in the drive itself. Here we are not saying that sensible humidity is not changing, means amount of moisture is not changing, but the ratio of the moisture content to the ratio of moisture content to that of the moisture content in the saturated temperature remains as it is, remains changed from, so relative humidity is changing from phi1 to phi2, or this moisture content is reduced from phi1 to phi2 itself when from the in comparison to the saturated moisture. The amount of heat rejected is Q to H1 minus H2 again, and H1 is the enthalpy present in the incoming air. H1 is given by the specific heat of the incoming air minus temperature at the incoming of the cooling coil at minus temperature at the outlet of the cooling coil. This is the amount of heat rejected, heat present. And H2 is the specific heat, this plus WCPS TD1 minus TD2. As we have just read before that becomes CPA plus W CPS plus TD1 minus TD2, or CPM TD1 minus TD2. The term CPA WCPA is called humidity specific heat again, which is value is equal to 1.022. The heat rejected is 1.022 in T1 minus T2. Now, for air conditioning purposes, sensible heat per minute is given with sensible heat is the mass flow of air multiplied by specific heat of the humid air and multiplied by the temperature rise or temperature cooling, where mu is the rate of dry air passing in the cubic meter per minute, rho is the density of moisture at 20 degrees centigrade, 50 degrees relative humidity, that is equal to 1.2 kg per meter square. Where we are using the moisture at temperature, at dB temperature, 20 degrees centigrade and 50% relative humidity means, relative humidity means, you know, the amount of moisture supposed to be present in this mixture in comparison to the same amount of moisture which is present in the same amount of mixture when it is fully saturated. So one thing is for actual amount of moisture divided by the amount of moisture when it is fully, so that same volume is fully saturated. That is the relative humidity. When we are saying 50% saturated means not fully, but half of the it is carrying the half of the moisture, which is supposed to be the half of the moisture which is supposed to be present in the fully saturated state. So the temperature is 20 degrees Celsius, 50 humidity will be 1.2 kg per cubic meter. The specific humid specific heat means the specific heat of a air and vapor moisture is given as 1.022 kilojoule per kg degree Kelvin. And delta T is the difference between the dry air temperature between the entering and leaving the air coil in degree centigrade. Now, if you substitute the value of rho as equal to 1.2 kg per cubic meter, CPM as equal to 1.022 kg per kg degree Kelvin. So delta T is a TD1 minus TD2, difference of dry bulb temperature. Then this equation will become 1.2264 mu multiplied by delta T, or 1.2264 nu multiplied by delta T divided by 60, when as it was kilojoule per minute, and now it became kilojoule per second, or equal to kilowatt. 1 kilojoule per second is equal to 1 kilowatt. For sensible cooling, the cooling coil may have refrigerant, cooling water, or cooling gas flowing through it. The sensible cooling can be done only to the dew point as shown in the figure. The cooling below the temperature will result in the condensation of moisture. Now, the bypass factor at the cooling coil, bypass factor of heating and cooling coil. There is another important factor which is defined as bypass factor. So, the temperature of the air coming out of the apparatus will be less than TD3. Temperature of the air coming out of the apparatus will be less than the temperature of the coil. which is a heating coil, and it will be more than the temperature of TD3, where it is the cooling coil. Now, if 1 kg of air at temperature TD1 passing over the coil at its temperature TD2, a little consideration will show that when the air passing over the coil, same of it, say x kg, just bypasses unaffected by the remaining 1.x kg coming in direct amount of direct contact with the coil. So, say amount x kg of coil, x kg of air bypasses x kg of air bypasses the cooling heating or cooling coil, and 1 minus x kg of air comes in direct contact with the cooling coil, with the heating and coil. Now, this bypass process of air is measured in terms of bypass factor. This bypass process, some of comes in contact with the heater and some of not coming into the contact with the heater. This is defined as bypass factor. The amount of air that bypasses or bypass factor depends on the following factors. The amount of fins provided, how the provided in a unit length, the pitch of the cooling coil fins. So the amount of rows in a cooling coil in the direction of flow and the velocity of flow of the air. So the number of fins means number of projection provided on the cooling or heating coil, which at the path of the flow, and number of fins per unit length, or the pitch of the cooling coil means different distance between the respective subsequent cooling coil fins. Number of rows in a coil, how much rows in a coil is there, and how is the velocity of flow of air. It must be noted that bypass factor decreases with decrease in fin spacing and increases with the number of rows. So balancing the enthalpies, we know X, the amount of air which is bypassing the coil, multiplied by the specific heat of the humidifier, multiplied by the temperature of incoming air, is plus 1 minus X, means the amount of air which comes directly in contact with the enthalpy, multiplied by the specific heat of the air, multiplied by the temperature of the cooling coil, which is equal to 1 plus the total amount of air multiplied by the same specific heat and multiplied by the temperature of the outgoing air. So we are cancelling this specific heat from both sides. So X into TD3 minus TD1. TD3 minus TD1 becomes equal to TD3 and minus TD2, means X TD1 plus TD3 minus X TD3, which is equal to 1 TD2. So X into TD3 minus TD1, X multiplied by TD3 minus TD1 is TD3 minus TD2. TD3 minus TD2, or X, the amount of air which is bypassing the material, is TD3 minus TD2 divided by TD3 minus TD1. So that is the temperature at the outlet at the cooling coil minus temperature at the outlet, temperature of the cooling coil minus temperature at the inlet. So temperature of cooling coil minus temperature of air at outlet divided by temperature, again temperature of the air of cooling coil minus temperature air at inlet. When X is called here, the bypass factor of the coil, generally given as BPF, and therefore for heating coil, TD3 minus TD2, TD3 minus T1. Similarly, for cooling coil, TD2 minus TD3 minus TD1 minus TD3. This is the bypass factor of the cooling and as well as heating factor. We can also have the bypass factors like this. Let the air passing over a heating coil. Since the temperature distribution of air passing through the heating coil is shown in figure. That is the temperature. TD1 is the temperature the inlet, TD2 temperature the outlet, and this is the temperature at the heating coil. So heating coil, after the temperature we are closest to the heating temperature of the heating coil, but never matches them. Since Qs, sensible heat is given by the coil Qs, U into AC into Tm, where U overall heat transfer coefficient, area surface area of the coil, Tm logarithmic mean temperature difference. Overall heat transfer coefficient is given as U, AC is surface area of the coil, Tm logarithmic mean temperature difference. So we know the logarithmic mean temperature difference is given as TD2 minus TD1, driver temperature at the outlet of the heating coil minus driver temperature at the inlet of the heating coil divided by log of driver temperature of the heating coil minus that of the cooling incoming air, driver temperature of the heating coil minus that of the outlet of the cooling air. Hence the difference between the temperature coming in and going out as well as the difference of divided by the logarithmic mean of the ratio of the temperature difference between the heating coil and the inlet temperature, heating coil and the outlet temperature, and if you take this ratio, you'll get the logarithmic mean temperature difference. And bypass factor, you know, for TD3 minus TD2 divided by TD3 minus TD1. And Tm is given by, thus Tm is given by, just put this bypass factor here, which is log E 1 divided by BPF, TD2 is under TD2 minus TD1. So temperature difference, we know we got the temperature difference and logarithmic mean temperature difference, and we multiplied by the heating factor, the overall heat transfer coefficient multiplied by the surface area of the coil. Now we have calculated that the heat added during the cooling coil, the mass of air multiplied by the mean specific heat multiplied by T2 minus T1. So the mean thermic specific heat is 1.022 MA mass of the air passing over the coil, which is supposed to be known to us. So equating this to equation, so USC will be MSTPM log E, or log 1 by BPF is equal to USC divided by M into CPM, or log BF is equal to minus USC divided by MA into CPM, or BPF is equal to the power minus USC divided by MA into CPM. If we put the value of CPM, it will become USC divided by 1.022 MA. Similarly, in the same way, we can derive the equation of the cooling coil. Now, what is the efficiency of the cooling and heating coil? The terms 1 minus BPF is defined as the efficiency of the coil or contact factor. Efficiency of the coil or contact factor. The efficiency of the heating coil is given as efficiency 1 minus BPF is defined as efficiency of the coil or contact factor. So 1 minus BPF, 1 minus TD3 minus TD2, divided by TD3 minus TD1, or TD2 minus TD1 with TD3 minus TD1. So it is become efficiency becomes the outlet temperature divided by the inlet temperature divided by temperature of the heating coil minus temperature of the temperature of the incoming air. Similarly, efficiency of the cooling coil 1 minus bypass factor, which is put as temperature TD2 minus TD3 by the TD1 minus TD3, or TD1 minus TD2 divided by TD1 minus TD3. This is the efficiency of the cooling coil. Let us go through few problems. Now, in a heating atmosphere application, most air enters the steam having steam heating coil at moist air. Moist air enters the steam heating coil at 10 degrees centigrade and 58 relative humidity and leaves at 30 degrees centigrade. Relative humidity RH, relative humidity the mass of vapor mixture divided by mass of the vapor when the mixture is saturated. Means 50%, it is 50% means what happens? 50% RH is equal to the RH is equal means that the amount of moisture is supposed to be present in the mixture will be 50% of that, which when it is fully satisfied, and it is coming specific heating coil is coming at a moisture is coming in the steam heating coil at 10 degrees centigrade and leaving it at 30 degrees centigrade. So we have to find out the sensible heat transfer. If mass flow is 100 kg dry air, also having the steam flow, mass flow, if the steam enters saturated at 100 degrees centigrade and condensed living at 80 degrees centigrade. So TD1 is given as 10, phi 1 is 50 degrees centigrade, and TD2 is 30 degrees centigrade, and mass of the air is flowing is 100 kg per second. TS saturated temperature, this is the saturated temperature 100 degrees centigrade, and TC the condensate temperature at 80 degrees centigrade. So what will happen? The specific heat transfer. First of all, mark the initial condition of the air, that is 10 degrees centigrade dry bulb temperature and 50 degrees relative humidity on the psychrometric chart. So we plot the value 10 degrees centigrade here. We plot the value 50% of the relative humidity chart and 50% relative humidity chart and 1 minus, and draw a constant specific humidity line from point 1 to the intersect the particle through 30 degree dry bulb line. What we are doing is constant specific humidity line from point 1 to the intersect the particle line through 30 degree. So from point 1 we are drawing a horizontal line here, and from point 30 degrees centigrade, it is drawing a vertical line here, which is intersecting each other at the point 2. This line 1 and 2, the sensible heat addition to the coil. We know that enthalpy at the point 1 is given as H1 and enthalpy at the point 2 is given as H2, which means we are dropping a vertical at from 1 to and from 2 over the enthalpy line to get that enthalpy at 1 and 2. Thus, the sensible heat transfer, which is supposed to be takes place, the mass of the air, which is given as 100, multiplied H2 minus H1, the temporal enthalpy at the final, at the enthalpy at the beginning. So it's equal to 10.13250 kJ per second. It is the sensible heat transfer. Next, we have to calculate the steam mass flow. From the steam tables, we know the temperature corresponding to the temperature of 100 degrees centigrade. We find that at the enthalpy of the saturated steam is HS. Just a second. Saturated. We are now sharing the steam table here. Share. What we are doing. Now, from the steam table, at a corresponding temperature 100 degrees centigrade, say temperature here. The temperature here, 100 degrees centigrade, and we know the enthalpy of saturated vapor is given as enthalpy of the saturated vapor is given as 2675.6. 2675.6 kilojoule per kg, and the enthalpy of the condensate corresponds to 80 degrees centigrade, and at 80 degrees centigrade, enthalpy of the condensate will become enthalpy of the steam is given as.
Good morning, sir.
330, 80 degrees centigrade is there, which is 2243, 2643. That's the condensate. At the flow is 335.01, and so steam flow is given as